Om Shruti-Smriti-Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad-Padam Shankaram Loka-Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Shamitam Sutra Bhashya-Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murtibheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Namah Pranavarthaya Shuddha Jnanaikamurtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Kataksha Kirana Chanta Naman Mohabdhaye Namaha.
कटाक्षकिरणाचान्तनमन्मोहाब्धये नमः।
Anantananda Krishnaya Jaganmangalamurtaye.
अनन्तानन्दकृष्णाय
जगन्मङ्गलमूर्तये।
जगन्मङ्गलमूर्तये।
We were talking about the virtual world and what we consider the real world. We had an example of that right now. Even as I was chanting the Shanti Mantra, I sneezed. And the automatic reaction was to turn the face away and sneeze away from the people in front of you. All the people in front of me are virtual. Not even one person real. Nothing is going to happen to them if I sneeze in front, but that's the way the virtual looks real to us. I thought it was another example of how we make error taking the virtual to be real. Right? Which we were in verse 22, if I remember right. Who will read? No takers. Shall I read the verse and then somebody can continue reading the text from where we left off? Swarupameva me sattvam na tu dharmo na bhattavatat na bhattavatat na bhattvatat na bhattvatat madanasya sato bhavan bhavat nahi sajati rishyate. Swarupameva me sattvam. Me sattvam, my reality, my swarupam is sattvam, existence. Natu dharma. It is not a property, it is not a attribute. Like you would have for nabha. Nabha is space. Nabhastvatat. You can say blue sky. Or anything else in the world, you can always add an adjective. But here, saying existence is not an adjective to I. Existence is I. In fact, if you look at I as this body mind sense complex, the ahankara, then I has life. Correct? But if we understand I correctly and see the I really for what it is, then I is life. One has life, it's a quality, and therefore the quality can go. That body mind sense complex can lose that quality. But I, Brahman, Atma, Omkara, is only is life. The very swarupa of I is existence, life, consciousness, which we'll look at in the next verse. This is what we've been reading. We read quite a bit of this already, if I remember right. All the arguments about why Sattvam, existence, cannot be a guna, a dharma. It is a swarupa of I. Because he is in second line, it says, Madanyasya sato abhavaha. There being nothing other than I. Nahi sa jati rishyate. You cannot therefore accept it as a jati. The existence that I am, the swarupa of I is the existence, it is not a jati because there is nothing else. Where does it become a jati? In the jagat it can become a jati. Because there we can say this is not. This is not. This is, here now it is, but there it is not. Yesterday it was not. But where I is, the existence of I is concerned, I is existence. Therefore he says, Madanyasya sato abhavaha nahi sa jati rishyate. Jati hi ishyate. You cannot take it, you cannot accept it, you cannot think of it as a jati. Some of these arguments we've already read, and we stopped somewhere. Can somebody pick up from where we left off?
Somebody shall I read? Jay, you'll read? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Page 262, second para.
263 second para. 263.
263, second para.
No, but Swamiji said that we will reread this
Read
from
again. Yeah.
262.
Correct.
Okay. So 262, second para.
Please go ahead.
For Atma Swarupa to become clearer, some more words are required. What is the minimum number of words required to reveal Atma? When you draw a map of India, which has many states, and you want the map to be such that each state is portrayed in a distinct color, with the condition that the same color should not border the same color. It is a mathematical problem. What is the minimum number of colors required? For a country like India, they say 3 colors or 4 colors. Similarly, we require a minimum of 3 words to reveal the nature of Atma. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, or Satchidanandam.
This 3 seems to be a very interesting mathematical proposition. No? All colors can be represented with the combination of 3 colors. Early TV used to work on a system called RGB. I don't know how many of you have looked at that.
Green,
Red,
blue.
green, and blue. Yeah. That's all that is there. And every color combination is brought from those 3 colors. RGB. That same kind of logic is bringing in here.
So, is there any logic for why we need 3 words for Atma?
It's just an example saying that in a map, you need 3 colors to make sure that there's no overlap. Or in, like I said, this RGB, you can minimum you need three colors to get the entire gamut of the thing. That's all, as an example. Here he's only given an example saying in the similar way, to be able to describe Atma, because Atma to describe with words is very difficult. Atma doesn't have any qualities. How are you going to describe with words? So some minimum number of words correctly understood has to be there to be able to convey the idea of Atma. That is what he is describing now. That he said, that similarly, we require a minimum of 3 words to reveal the nature of the Atma. More will come on this. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma is what we use. 3 words.
The meaning of each word is revealed only with the help of the other words. We have seen this in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Brahmavit apnoti param tadeshabhyukta satyam jnanam anantam brahma. There the predication is for Brahman. Brahman is the Vishaya of Akansha, Jijnasyam Brahma, Vedyam Prameyam is Brahma, because it was said Brahmavid Param Apnoti. The knower of Brahman gains the ultimate end. Therefore, Kim Tad Brahma, it is a natural Akansha, a natural expectancy. What is that Brahman? Once you ask that question, Shruti has to describe that Brahman. If Brahman is a substantive, then one can describe Brahman as the meaning of a word using appropriate words. But Jati Guna Kriya Sambandha Rahitam Brahma. Brahman is not a Jati Guna Kriya or a Sambandha, which is what words can describe. Then how are you going to describe it through words? But still, the Shastra has to reveal it with words. There is no other way. And it uses three words, the minimum three words, Satyam, Jnanam, Ananta.
The same words we use for describing things in the Jagat. Because we have to use the same words, otherwise how will we understand? If we instead said toka tiki toku, it will mean nothing. It has to mean something. But there the other problem is that our orientation is each of these words, we look at the meaning that we know of generally in the world. We take that meaning to begin with. They say, okay, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Then Shastra will say, this Satyam that I'm talking about is not a guna. That Satyam is a guna because Satyam also has an opposite. This Satyam is not a guna. It is what Atma is. This Satyam or this Jnanam or this Anantam is the very Swarup of the Atma which makes that Satyam and Anantam, that Jnanam and Ajnanam, that Anantam and finite makes possible. Yes, Divyansh.
Swamiji, it says if Brahman is a substantive, by like here substantive means object, right?
Say that again.
It says if Brahman is a substantive, then it can be described in words. So by substantive, it means an object, right?
Yeah, it's object. It's an object.
The words used by the Shastra should be words that are known to you. Known words are the words that we have for understanding the world of objects. Therefore, every word is a word which is meant to reveal Jati Guna Kriya Sambandha. A Jati like cow, or a Guna, an attribute like blue, white, big, small, fast, slow, etc. These are all attributes. Or a Kriya. Kriya is an action, any kind of action. Words like cook, drive, etc. reveal actions. Through the action, you can also reveal a person, a substantive like a driver, cook, walker, tall, talker, speaker, etc. Or a word may be used to reveal a sambandha like father, mother, son, daughter, uncle, father-in-law, sister-in-law, brother-in-law, boss, employer, employee, etc. Or a racial sambandha like Indian, Chinese, etc. Or race can even be a guna. These jati, guna, kriya and sambandha are the only four things that can be revealed by words.
Yeah, we can sit and think, can you think of something else which is not covered by these four? I don't think we can come up with anything.
I think there are 5 types of things, right?
What is the fifth?
I will like look into it. Like
Okay.
I heard somewhere.
Okay.
If Brahman is a jati, then we can say that this is Brahman and everything else is Abbrahman. But Shastra Drishti is Sarvam Kalvidham Brahma. Everything is Brahman. There is nothing other than Brahman. Therefore, a jati that is not Brahman is not there. If Brahma jati is not there, Brahma guna also cannot be there. If everything is Brahman, which guna will you attribute to Brahman? There is no particular guna which can be attributed to Brahman. Therefore, all adjectives like white Brahman or big Brahman or small Brahman, etc., are of no use. If everything is Brahman, which is Satyam, Brahman cannot undergo any change whatsoever. Having no possibility of change, Kriya is not possible. Kriya, action, is possible only when there is a substantive that performs the action. The karta undergoes a small change at least. Without a change, there is no question of any action. And therefore, action is impossible in Brahman. Sambandha is not there because everything is Brahman. How are you going to reveal this Brahman with words? Some people cite the Shruti Vakya, Yato Vacho Nivartante Aprapya Manasa Saha, meaning the words come back along with the mind from Brahman and say that therefore Brahman is beyond words. One approaches to them to learn Brahman and they say it is beyond words. No, it is not beyond words. It is not the Vachya of a word. Vachyam means that which is revealed by a word. Immediately, words reveal an object that we know or that we can know. Either the word reveals an object that we know, like a pot, like a tree, like a leaf, or an object that we do not know. Suppose there is an object which we do not know at all. It is told by a new word whose meaning is described using known words, like Muligatani soap.
Muligatani soup, I believe, came from Mulagatanni rasam.
Mulagatani. What is Muligatani soap? Milagatani soup.
He is also saying that.
Rasam is called Muligatani soup.
For those who may not quite know what a rasam is, Divyansh, anybody else? Rasam is a very popular dish in the south, which you mix with rice and have.
Spicy water.
And there are many varieties of rasam. If rasam is a jati, there are many different rasams also. And one of them is called molag. Molag is pepper, black pepper, made of black. So they say that famous mulligatawny soup that you see in Europe actually originated from this Mulagatanni.
The Englishman came to this country and picked up rasam and called it Muligatani soup. In Tamil, milagu means black pepper, tanni means water, pepper water is called milagatanni. He called it Muligatani soup. Now you have understood. Once explained, it is understandable. An unknown word becomes understandable. You know what is pepper and you know what is water and you know what is soup. So you now know what Mulagattani soup is. The unknown words come to light when they are explained. Therefore, either a word stands for a known object or a knowable object. That is Shabdavachya. When I ask what is Brahman, I am told that Brahman is supreme. I ask what is supreme. I am told supreme is infinite. I do not know what is infinite. I ask what is infinite. I am told it is immortal, eternal bliss. Their ignorance comes out in the form of these words: infinite, eternal, immortal. All these words do not cut any ice. They do not convey anything. Previously, you had ignorance of one word, Brahman. Now you have ignorance of 5 words: infinite, supreme, eternal, immortal, and bliss. Some will make it bliss with B capital. Brahman is not Shabdavachyam. Brahman is not revealed as a word meaning, but then it has got to be revealed by words alone. The Shruti itself recognizes the limitation of words. That doesn't mean it becomes silent. Silence is another thing that is not understood. They cite Mauna Vyakya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam Yuvanam and say, therefore, that the Lord Dakshinamurti revealed Brahman through silence. Through silence, what is revealed? Nothing is revealed. You can conclude that the silence means whatever you think. Silence is not teaching. If silence is the teaching of Upanishad, then the Ishavasya Upanishad will have 2 blank pages and Brihadaranyaka Upanishad will have 100 blank pages. This is all silly. Then how is Brahman taught with words? This is how it is taught. We pick up an ordinary word which you know and we remint it. It is not even reminting. We just take that word and then take you to the Vastu through the word. That is the method of teaching. I pick up the word Satyam. The word is an appropriate word. Satyam, Jnanam, and Anantam are not 3 Paryaya Padas. Gata, Kalasha, and Kumbham are synonyms. Kumbha. If the first word does not convey the meaning, the second word can convey. If it is also unable to convey the meaning, a third word may convey. If you do not know all the 3 words, then you must look into a dictionary. To know one word, you may see 10 synonymous words in a dictionary. You see one of the meanings listed, and if you do not know that word, then that word you want to know, then you look up that word in the dictionary. There again, the dictionary lists 3 more words. It is a nuisance. Here, when Shastra is trying to reveal Brahman, the 3 words are not synonyms. They are 3 appropriate words. We require a minimum of 3 words, and all 3 words are appropriate. One of the 3 words is an ontological word, Satyam. In the world, we have this ontological word, Satyam, which means that which is true. Why do you require the word true? Because there is such a thing as untruth. When we look into the various objects, as we know, we find that some of them are not true. Some are seemingly true, and some of them are true. Thus, we have these 2 words, Satyam and Anritam. We generally use the word Anritam or Asat for our dream. The dream objects, etc., we find are not there on waking up. And so we understand the whole thing was a projection of our mind. Therefore, it is asatyam. It is not true. We cannot say non-existent. It is not true. Like even the sunrise is not true. Like even the blue sky is not true. Like even the small star is not true. At the same time, though we experienced it, it is not true. Like the sunrise is not true, blue sky is not true, the star being small is also not true. Things that we see are not exactly true. Things appear in certain forms, but their truth is entirely different. If that is so, then we require a reality word, an ontological word to account for that experience. That word we say is Anritam, false. These 2 words we have, Satyam and Anritam. Then we have Tucham. In every language, we have equivalent words. Tucham means a non-existent thing, the like Vishana, the rabbit's horn, or the horn of a man, or the Vandyaputra,
Vandyaputra.
Vandyaputra, son of a woman who never gave birth to a child, or kind of a son is not there at all. Satyam, Anritam, and Tucham are all ontological words. This is how we conduct our life here. We live our lives with these three words. Then the Shastra comes and tells me there is such a thing, knowing which everything is as well known. It is very interesting way of introducing the topic, a beautiful way. Then immediately an Akansha is created. This creates Jijnasa in Shvetaketu. Shvetaketu returns home after education, after 12 years of Gurukula Vasa. He is asked, did you ask for that knowledge, gaining which everything else is well known? Shvetaketu asks, is there such a knowledge? What is that? First, the teacher brings in Mrid and Gatha to establish the possibility of knowing many by knowing one. Mrinmayam Jagat. The entire world of clay, consisting of pots, etc., is born out of Mrid, clay. All of them. If you look into them, you will find that they are all one clay alone. Therefore, you cannot count clay. There is one. If you count pot, jug, etc., there are many. Understand? There are 3 pots. How many clays? There is only one. You cannot say 3 clays. There is only clay. There is no second clay. There is no third clay. Therefore, to count just one, you have to know that Vastu, without which these pots are not there at all. If you are counting the pots and then saying that there are Nana, many, you missed the one that is there, that makes a pot, that makes a pitcher, that makes a lid, that makes a cup, and which is the Vastu of all three. Mrittika eva satyam. Vacharambhanam vikaro namadehi.
Vasarambanam Virakaro Namdeyam.
Ambanam vikaro namadheyam. All that is there is only a word and a form for which that word stands. And the Vastu is only one, and that is called Satyam. This word Satyam is an ontological word. And once he has used this ontological word, a word that reveals the reality of clay as one, and everything else is Mrinmayam Jagat, then that Mrinmaya, Mridvikara Bhuta Jagat, is purely Avastu, no matter what the things are, even things that you have not seen. You need not know each form if they are made from clay. They are Avastu once clay is recognized. The countable Vastu is only one. And everything else, Avastu, is not countable. And that countable Vastu, ekasmin Vastuni jnate sati sarvam vijnatam bhavati. When that Vastu Jnanam is there, everything is well known. It is as well known because there is only one Vastu. For that Vastu, we use the ontological word Satyam. If clay is Satyam, then what about the pot? What is the ontological word for the pot now? How do you understand the pot in terms of its reality, in terms of its existence, to account for the pot's being? Which word reveals how you look at it in terms of its reality? There must be a word which reveals your knowledge of its reality status. It should be an understood word. Pot cannot be dismissed as non-existent like rabbit's horn. Therefore, we cannot use the word tucham. Pot cannot be taken as satyam because the ontological word satyam is already used to cover clay. We cannot use the word anritam, asat, false, because the pot fetches water. What word can we then use to understand the reality status of a pot? Shastras say vacharambhanam vikaro namadheyam. It means it is just a name for a vikara, a form, a name for something which does not enjoy an independent reality. An ontological word, mithya, is given by the Shastrakaras for the reality status of such a name and form, like pot. There is no translation for it. Mithya is mithya. Any translation is going to confuse people. This much if you explain and then say mithya, it is good enough. What do you understand by mithya now? It is a reality status of something that is not tucham, non-existent, not anritam, false, not satyam, real, but which has no being independent of another thing, which is its satyam. In understanding the word mithya, we understand wherever there is mithya, there is satyam. Wherever there is a pot, a clay pot, there will be clay. Mithya reveals satyam. There is no mithya which does not reveal satyam. Questioner: Swamiji, can I not get a pot without clay? Swamiji: what kind of pot will you get without clay? Questioner: I will get a copper pot. Swamiji: that is what I am telling. Without that copper, there is no pot. Without the material copper, there is no pot. That material becomes satyam. Understand the word clay as the material, the substance. Without that substance, there is no pot. And the substance alone is in this particular form. This substance is the vastu, satyam. Everything else which has no being independent of the vastu is avastu, non-substance, but useful and is called mithya. Questioner: if you say the whole world is mithya, then how can things be useful? Swamiji: I say that only mithya is useful. What is useful is mithya, but everything that is mithya need not be useful. Because there is another type of mithya which is subjective. That is not useful. Subjectively, it may be useful, like dream objects within a dream. But in waking, because of a confusion, if you see a rope as a snake or a shell as silver, that is not useful. So, when you say something is mithya, it may be useful or it may not be useful. But mithya is something which does not exist independent of the substance of which it is made. That is called mithya. The whole world is a delusion, is another popular expression which is the problem. It is not delusion or illusion. I do not use either of these words. There is no necessity for that. The world is neither an illusion nor a delusion. I do not use these words because they connote different things in different minds. So they are not appropriate.
Divyansh?
Swamiji, so like Swamiji has like introduced four words, right? Satyam, Anritam, Tucham, and Mithya. But like for this example, snake or dream, Swamiji said that it is subjective mithya, but Shouldn't it be like just Anritam?
It is there. It exists in your mind. How is it? Anritam is that is non-existent, false.
The small star is the Anritam, right?
Sorry.
Small star or sun rising up, that is Anritam, right?
That is Mithya, right?
No, that is
No,
Anritam, right?
that's not Mithya. But okay, the word's unimportant. What he's talking about is the word which represent an ontological term. An ontological term is that which represents the status of the reality of existence of anything. So he used 4 words. I don't think we need to go into what should be classified as Anritam, what should be classified as this thing. But essentially, in fact, if we don't even use Anritam, it's okay.
Correct.
We have Satyam, we have Tucha, and we have Mithya.
Mithya.
That should cover everything.
One more question. Maybe like Swamiji will cover it, I'm not sure, but like some people say that world is illusion, right? Or let's say a delusion or whatever. Like another dream, like we have that in the movie Inception. So, but we can't disprove that thing also, right? Maybe it is another dream, who knows?
I have not understood your question. Has anybody clearly understood what he's looking for?
No, Swamiji
No.
is saying that there are some people who say that world is an illusion or a delusion,
Yes.
or maybe a dream, like some people interpret, right? So Swamiji is saying that it is not that. But how can we dismiss it truly? Because everything we are seeing in our mind, right?
He is dismissing 2 words, illusion and delusion. He is only looking at saying the Jagat exists. As long as you look at it from the perspective of the Jagat, Jagat exists. It is not Tucha, it is not Satyam. It is not an illusion because it's not. See, even after a person gains this knowledge, even then the Jagat continues. Jagat is not going to fall off. So, where this misinterpretation comes is from when we try to explain Maya, and Maya is explained as magic, as an illusion. So you extend it from because the word illusion means it is non-existent, which is not true. The word illusion implies it is not existent. Whereas what Swamiji is saying is, it is not reality, but it is not also non-existent. So for that, there is no equivalent word that you can find in any other language. Not in English, not in any other language. So we stick with Mithya. And define Mithya way he has defined it. That which is, no, it is not an illusion. He said, if I remember right, he said, a pot is not an illusion because a pot can you use to fetch water, store water. In fact, it's very good in summer to drink water from a pot rather than from the fridge. So it is not an illusion as we understand the word illusion. Illusion is what a magician does. So only in that context is saying, let's not use words like illusion and delusion because they can be interpreted differently by different people. And here we're struggling to explain something like Atma, Brahman, using words when we know that the use of word that we normally use in our language cannot be used because there will only use Vachyartha. And Vachyartha cannot be used for, therefore, Vacharambanam Vikaro Namadeyam. You cannot use those words which you will use to describe any object. And when you look at the Jagat, he's only saying don't use words like illusion and delusion because it might misconvey what you're trying to say.
The people who use illusion, delusion are all trying to convey what mithya is, but it doesn't really convey because it can also mean non-existent things, like what Swamiji said. Therefore, that will lead to confusion. So that is why he says don't use those words. So there is no one word equivalent in English for mithya. That is because mithya is unique word only used in Advaita. No other philosophy accepts word as mithya, so there is no word for that. Right?
In a lecture that I gave at Rishikesh, Swamiji asked me to talk about Maya. How do I talk about Maya to a set of people without confusing them more than they were already confused about Maya? So I actually performed a small card trick. A card trick by which I hold the pack of cards behind my back and able to see the card and tell them which the next card is. It's an illusion. What is the illusion there? That I have eyes at the back of my head. I don't have any eyes in the back of the head. It's only a trick. But only to explain that the whole world, the whole Jagat, is not reality as we see from the perspective of Paramatma. So words like illusion, delusion, we'll be cautious about using them. If you can use them and make them understand what you're saying, okay, go ahead.
But that card trick is not Maya, that is illusion, right?
Correct. But that was used to explain. That's all. That's what it is. Right?
There
So
I was only trying to explain, you're all deluded and I am performing a trick, a Maya, just like Maya does with the whole world. And how can you get out of this? Mayam tu prakritim vidhi mayinam tu maheshwaram. There I was only trying to explain, once I explained the trick to them, they became what? They became Mayan. Then it was not an illusion anymore. As before that, I was the only Mayan. They were all deluded people. That's all I was trying to show. But if you know, you're Mayan.
What?
We say, no, Ishvara knows everything. He's Sarvajna. Therefore, he has total control over Maya. And we don't know, we don't have control over Maya. Maya has control over us. That's all. But don't worry about the words itself. The word should convey what you're trying to convey in exactly the same fashion to the listener. If you can do that by using illusion, delusion, go ahead.
Swamiji, one definition that really was appealing to me, I think many of them already know, for mithya. Mithya is that which is in your experience and also has, and does not have absolute independent existence. So that which is in your experience, but does not have absolute independent existence.
As only a dependent existence, correct?
Okay.
Therefore, mithya will always include satya.
So if you bring in that word experience, it makes it little more clearer. It is in your experience, but it doesn't have independent existence.
One more question, Divyansh has.
Jayaji, like in one of your presentation, you gave 3 levels of Satyam: Pratibhasik, Vyavaharik, and Paramarthik.
Correct.
So where do we put Pratibhasik in these terms?
Subjective mithya.
Mithya only, na?
Subjective.
Right.
Then which is an appropriate word? Mithya. The word mithya is revealing an ontological reality. Another ontological word is satyam. Both the words are ontological. Now, I say Brahma Satyam Ordinarily, we take Satyam to mean that which is. That is the meaning of Satyam, exists. That which exists, asti iti, that is Satyam. Therefore, it is. All right. What kind of Satyam is Brahma? Is it an existent thing like a pot? No. Brahman is Satyam that goes along with the word Anantam or Anandam. Both these words have the same meaning. What do you mean by Anantam? Limitless, unconditioned, not bound in any way. Apparichinnam. When Satyam is supported by Anantam, it means it is Satyam without having an end, without a limitation. How beautiful. The word Anantam has already released the word Satyam from being a revealer of an object which is bound by time and place and having a specific object form. So, Desha Kala Vastu Parichedha, limitation is negated. The word Gata, pot, reveals a given object at a given time, at a given place. It is conditioned spatially, conditioned by time, and conditioned by being what it is. Being a pot, it is not a chair or a book. Chair, when you say, it is not a table, it is not a pot, etc. This is what is called Vastu Paricheda, object wise limitation. Satyam, which is Anantam, therefore free from Desha Kala Vastu Paricheda, is called Satyam according to Shastra. That is our Satyam.
That's why sometimes confusion arises when people assign a specific place for Ishvara. The moment you assign a specific place for Ishvara, then Ishvara is not then other place other than where you specified. That means you're limiting Ishvara. When we see avatara Purusha, they have a time limitation. They're born at a certain point, but they take a human form, and that form is finished when their job is done. That is time limitation. But when we understand the meaning of this, of Ishvara as being only Brahman, where we condition it with Maya and give it a certain quality called Ishvaratvam. But if we understand Ishvara is only Brahman, and that we do it deliberately to give it a certain name, form, and a story behind it for our convenience. Sometimes that leads to other problems, because I have found that this is my form of Ishvara, born in so-and-so time, does all these miracles, does all these jobs. That another fellow has a different one, he has different stories, and then they fight who is superior, without recognizing that there is only one Ishvara.
The commonly understood meaning of Satyam is what? Satyam limited by time, space, and object. This is Satyam, that is Satyam, all things are Satyam. This Satyam, the Prasiddha word, the common Vyavaharika word, known word, is taken and freed from its limitation by Shastra. Unknown words, words whose meaning is not known, we do not use at all. If we use unknown words, there will be no communication. There is a big argument about this. There are people who contend that you cannot use known words since Shastra has to reveal something unknown. And of course, we cannot use unknown words. Immortal, infinite, etc. are not known words in the sense that they do not have a clearly understood meaning. And we cannot use known words like cow, horse, etc. to reveal Brahman because Brahman is not a cow, horse, etc. Unknown words, words without a known meaning, like tatapa, bhuja, jaja, jaga, japagaja, etc., are also useless to reveal anything, leave alone Brahman. Therefore, what words can be used? And someone says you cannot use any words. That is ridiculous. We use appropriate words. We do not call them common words or known words. We use appropriate words. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, three words. Satyam we use, but then remove the common comprehension of the word. What is the common comprehension? A thing existing in time and space is Satyam, which makes Satya an attribute of a thing which exists in a given form at a certain time in a certain place. Therefore, if you say this is a cow, cow is an object which exists in time and place as a cow, not as a horse, not as an elephant. This is how existence, the word is used by us in common parlance. Now Shruti retrieves this word from the meaning and it holds in common usage.
From the
It
meaning,
re-
no, and from the meaning it holds in common usage. You
from
remove it from there, you give it, you remove all the limitations of the word.
yeah. It retains the root meaning of the word but removes the limitations. The root is Satyam, is as bhuvi, as bhuvi,
Us.
as bhuvi. And the word bhuvi is, used to convey the meaning of the root as, is derived from the
Both.
dhatu bhusattayam, meaning existence or being. This root
Uh,
meaning,
1 minute, there's a hand up again. Divyansh?
yeah,
So Swamiji, like in previous para, Swamiji says that words like immortal are not known, like are not clearly understood. But I think matlab, we can use them also. Like matlab, if we say that something is immortal, then we say it should not be born as well. Then we say it is always is. Can we say that?
No. I'll tell you a simple experiment. You take 10 of your friends and tell them to write the meaning of the word immortal without looking at AI. Even if you look at AI, you'll get different. All will write different meanings. The commonly understood meaning, very vaguely we have some idea of saying immortal meaning, that which does not die. But how can you then say it's not born? It doesn't die, it's born, but continues. In fact, that is the way alchemists look at immortality. Something is born, but we are trying to make it live in time forever, in the present and in the future. So you will find different people interpreting the word differently. Even if you look up the dictionary, I'm sure if you look up the dictionary, let me do that right away. If your word immortal will have many meanings.
I mean, something that does not die, right?
Yeah, it's one of the meanings, but there's some common understanding. I'm just trying to see if I can see a dictionary meaning. Look at this. Someone or something that lives, lasts, or is remembered forever. Three different words. Lives, lasts, or is remembered forever. Commonly used to refer to supernatural being, enduring fame, immortal words, for example. Like that, there are, even dictionary gives you different interpretation of the word. And contextually, how it is used, meaning is taken. It is not therefore, when you use words like that, immortal, bliss, for example, again, One of those words which everybody hears the word, but people have different idea of what the word conveys.
This root meaning of Bhu Sattayam
This root meaning is what we've been talking all the time. And Bhashyakara talks about it often, particularly when it comes to Nya. Nya Dhatvarta. Here also, earlier we saw somewhere the As Dhatu, As Dhatvarta, from which all the all forms are derived.
This root meaning of Bhu Sattayam is retained in the common word Satyam, and then it is qualified by Anantam. Deshatah aparichinnam, kalatah aparichinnam, and vastutah aparichinnam. That is Ananta. That means Brahman is Satyam, which is Ananta. There is no time when it is not. Suppose a time comes when it is not, you cannot say Kalataha aparichinnam. Time is Brahman. Satyam and Desha is also Brahman. Satyam and every object is Satyam. Otherwise, Brahman is not aparichinnam. If it is said that Brahman is beyond time, then time becomes another factor, an independent factor. Then Kala and Vastu Paricheda will continue. Time cannot be independent of whom, space cannot be independent of whom, no object can be independent of whom. That Vastu is called Satyam. That is Satyam. Pot is clay means that pot is not independent of clay. Therefore, all that is there is the Mrinmayam Jagat is clay. If everything is Satyam, like the pot is clay, knowing the Satya Vastu, everything is well known. Therefore, time, space, object, all three of them are Brahman, that is Satyam. Ontologically, this is the reality. The word Anantam makes Satyam completely free from the common concept of Satyam, while retaining its essential meaning of existence. That retaining of the essential meaning is important. Otherwise, Satyam would not be an appropriate word. If the word does not retain its essential meaning, then I can use any word to do the job. I can use any word or sound like ba 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 and say that it is called Brahman. How? Because it gives up its essential meaning. Or I can say that a horse is Brahman because the essential meaning is given up. But it is not like that. The essential meaning, the root meaning is retained. Our conditioned understanding with reference to the retained meaning is negated by another word, a second word, Anantam. This second word is so important. The words are Satyam, Anantam, or Sat and Ananda. Ananda also has the same meaning as Anantam. Ananda is not bliss. But now we have a new problem. If you say that Brahman is Satyam Anantam, we have this Karana Buddhi in Brahman. And our orientation is that anything which is a Karanam, a cause, is Jadam, insentient like clay. Then we may think that Satyam, the Vastu, is also Jadam, it being Jadam, Jagat Karanam. Therefore, the Shruti uses another appropriate word to remove this idea of Brahman being insentient. For that, we have another word, Jnanam. So, Brahman is Satyam Jnanam. What does Satyam Jnanam mean? The Satyam in every form of Jnanam, Jnata, Jnanam, Jneyam, meaning that which is Satyam of the knower, that which is the Satyam of the knowledge, and that which is the Satyam of the known. Therefore, all three of them are sustained by which that is Satyam. That means all these three are mithya, depending upon satyam. Mithya means it has no independent existence. Like in dream, you have mountains and valleys, but all that is there is one surface consciousness. Similarly, here also, this jnata, jnanam, jneyam, all three of them are sustained by one satyam.
Let's
And
stop here now. We'll go back to the beginning of this paragraph when we restart in the next class. So we'll go back to page 278, second
yeah,
paragraph. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha
गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः
Harihi
ओम्
Om